Do you know how hard it can be to buy and sell a home at the same time? I have worked with so many clients that have had to navigate this situation, and it has been really, really difficult. Today, I'm going to talk about this real life story that I have for you about how one of my sellers ended up buying a home and actually almost became homeless because they screwed it up. Swear to God, this is a real life story. So stick around. I'm going to show you how you can buy and sell a home at the same time. Are you planning on selling your home now? Make sure you download our Seller's Playbook. You will not want to miss this. It will show you exactly what you need to do to update your home. Hey, it's me, Kati, and I had clients just like you who were trying to buy a home and sell their home at the same time because they could not carry two homes. And it's really difficult and it's really tricky. And so what I'm going to do is tell you about this real story while I'm explaining to you what you need to do in order to navigate this process. So my sellers were probably just like you. They were in a home and it was just too tight for them. They had 6 of them in the house and they only had 1 bathroom upstairs for all the kids. And in addition, they had a dog. The house was crazy. It was busy. It was lived in hard, let's just say. And they needed more space. They really needed more space. So when they were thinking about buying their home, they really knew that they had to figure out how to sell it. So they had reached out to me and I went over to their house. I was one of 3 agents that they interviewed and they decided to work with me. And they knew they wanted to stay in the same area. So they kind of thought it might not be that hard to stay in the same area, sell and buy at the same time. But in order to do that, you have to really follow some key points that I'm going to give you. One of the big things I'm going to talk about throughout this whole conversation is a home sale contingency or a home close contingency. So a home sale contingency is going to be different than a home close contingency. A home sale contingency is when you actually are getting ready to put your house on the market and you actually write a contract to purchase a home. Now, when that happens, you are not sure if you're actually going to be able to sell your home, and sellers on the other side aren't sure if you're going to be able to sell your home either. So it is very risky for a seller to accept a home sale contingency because they're kind of saying, we're counting on you to sell your house and we know nothing about your house. We don't know if it's priced correctly. We don't know if the condition's good. We don't know if the location's good. We know nothing about your house, but we're going to put all the risk on you to see if you can sell your house while we wait for you. Now, a home sale contingency can be very, very risky and tricky for buyers and sellers, both of them actually. A home close contingency is where you actually already have a contract on your home to close, and then you go and try and purchase another home. A home close contingency actually is pretty good. And the reason why it's pretty good is it typically means that all of the contingencies have been met and you are just waiting to close on your house. Now, the issue with this is that you have to have a contract on your sale in order to write on your buy. So the timing has to be really specific in how you actually navigate this. I do believe sometimes, though, that a home close contingency can be really powerful because when you have a home close contingency, let's say you're a seller and you accept a home close contingency, that means your buyers have to move. They are in a contract on their home and they have to move. So it's not like they're going to be out there looking and shopping for other homes and changing their mind. I mean, they really are in a situation where they have to sell. And so to take a home close contingency can be a lot different than taking a home sale contingency. Again, a home sale contingency for a seller to accept can be riskier than a home close. If you are just thinking that you're going to go out there and write a home sale contingency and somebody's going to take it waiting for you to sell your home, it's probably not going to happen. However, a home close contingency might be accepted. Now, a home close contingency, actually, if there are multiple offers, is very hard to get accepted as well. So when you have a home sale or a home close contingency, you're just not as strong of a buyer. And that is just the way it is. And usually you will have to spend more money or make better terms for the seller when you do go to buy. So you have to think about, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to pay a little bit more money? Are you willing to have a closing date that works for the seller? What is it for you that's going to work and for the seller, considering the seller is the one taking the risk? So with my clients, we knew that they were not going to be able to buy until they actually closed on their home. Now, keep in mind, in the old days, when I actually went and bought my first house, we could have a bridge loan. Many of you probably are familiar with a bridge loan. A bridge loan is where the bank says, oh yes, we know you are going to sell your home and you will buy this next home, and we're willing to give you a bridge loan to kind of gap the difference there. there so that you have the ability to not close and buy on the same day. The bridge loans have kind of gone away ever since 2008 recession. Things kind of got upside down. I really haven't seen any bridge loans unless somebody is very, very wealthy. So if you're somebody who is thinking, I'm just going to take a bridge loan because I'm going to be able to purchase my house, the bank will know that I'm going to sell this one, that's not really how it works right now. What actually happens is that the lender is going to come to you and ask you what your debt to income ratio is. And you need to make sure that your debt is within 35, no more than 45% of your income. If it's not, if it's higher, there's going to be a very poor chance of you getting a loan on that new home. And that's why they can't really do those bridge loans anymore, because your debt to income ratio on 2 homes is going to be more than that 45%. So I also want you to keep this in mind, is if you are a retiree and you are thinking you are going to get a mortgage on your next home, they are looking at debt to income. I know it's crazy because I have a lot of seniors, a lot of retired people who don't have an income, and they actually cannot get a mortgage because they have no income, even though they have cash. So this is something you have to start early in the process. And this is why you're going to want to bring some agents in. So if you're finding this content valuable, I want to make sure you hit that like button and give me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. So as I was saying about my clients, we knew that they were going to have to sell their home and actually close on it in order to buy. They could not get a bridge loan and they couldn't carry 2 homes at the same time. So we came up with a plan and how we were going to get their house ready. And I explained all of the updates and everything that they needed to do in their house. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know I have lots and lots of videos about updating your house and getting it ready to sell. They actually used a lot of information in my seller playbook. You can go and download it. Do not leave the screen though. This is not what this video is about. It is not about updating your home in order to sell. This is about how you actually do it. But part of the process is getting your home ready to sell. Now, the deal with them is that they were very busy. They were running around all the time. They had a dog. It was just kind of a crazy household. So they did not do a lot of updates. We kind of did the minimal stuff to get the house ready to go, but it was ready to go. So this is pretty typical in how you kind of get going with a story that I have. But my family that I'm telling you about, I swear to God, the end of the story, you will not believe what happened to them, because we were going down the path and everything was working out really well. But now what I want to do is I kind of want to go through with you step by step so you can see exactly what you need to do. First thing you're going to do is you're going to research the markets. And what that means is I want you to get a market search set up. I want you to actually get a search that's coming to you every day so that you can see what is actually on the market. Now I want you to remember this one thing. You don't take anything else away from this video. I want you to take this away. If there are no homes for you to buy, you should not sell. Now, I know it seems super simple, super basic, but I have a lot of people who think, oh, I'm just going to list my house and then I'm going to go out and find something to buy. And if there is nothing to buy, you cannot sell. That's why when people come to me and say, where do I start? Do I start with the buy or do I start with the sell? You have to start with the buy, and you have to start to see if there are homes out there. So if you are trying to plan this with a home sale contingency or home close contingency, the very first thing you need to do is research the market. And you need to go to open houses. You need to start looking at houses, and you need to see, are there actually any homes that I want to buy here? There may not be. And if that is true, if there are no homes that you want to buy, that's the end of this video. You don't have to watch anymore. However, if you go out there and you see that, you know what, there are some homes that we'd buy here. Maybe it's not perfect, but I feel confident and I feel comfortable that there is enough inventory that when I decide to go and purchase a home, there will be something for me to buy. I want to tell you, this really should be done at least a year ahead of time. I want you to start researching these homes as early as you can about what is out there for sale. Second thing I want you to do is you got to get your finances in order, and this is where you've got to talk to your lender. Now, your lender is going to ask you for some very basic things over the phone in order for you to get your pre-approval letter. It's going to be your income, it's going to be your credit score, it's going to be any debt that you might have. And the pre-approval can actually come just by the conversation on the phone. Now, with my clients, they actually went over all of this on the phone and they did get their pre-approval and they were ready to go. And that's what you're going to do as well, is just talk to your lender and see if you can purchase a home when you sell and for how much you can afford. The next thing you're going to do is make sure you have all of your documentation ready. So while you're doing it on the phone, you're going to have to pull all of those actual documents when you go go under contract on a home and you're going to have to give them to the lender. So I'm telling you early, you are going to need a lot of documentation to verify what you have told the lender on the phone. Next thing you're going to need to do is figure out how much your house is worth. And from there, you need to find an agent. Now, I've got a lot of videos about finding an agent. This is not what this is about. If you want one, I have one down below, but don't go now because we're still talking about how to sell and how to buy. So you want to probably talk to 3 agents and find out how much they think your home is going to sell for. And you need to listen to them. Don't just discount what they're saying. You need to listen to them and maybe average what they're saying because they're giving you insight. Because if you think your house is going to sell for more and they're telling you it's less, well, then that is how you need to prepare. This is not an emotional process. This is a factual process. You have to do all of these steps in order to meet your end goal. All right, get your home ready for showings. And this is what I told you. I have my seller's playbook that I actually gave to them that does talk about the high return, low cost updates and the low cost, high return updates that you should absolutely be making and the ones you should not be making. So we talked about that and they put all the paint in and they did everything around the house to basically kind of get it fixed up and ready to go. Now, this is where it gets really, really tricky. Your logistical nightmare. That's what I'm going to call it. Logistical nightmare. This is the key. How are you going to sell and buy on the same day? It is very difficult. So I want you to think about this. I want you to be honest with yourselves. I don't want you to get emotional. I want you to really map it out. How are we going to do this? My clients were moving around the corner, so they knew that they could just throw a bunch of stuff in their car and move it over there the same day. But that is probably not the case for most of you. So there are a couple things you need to think about when you are doing this. First of all, you need to figure out, can you close on a Monday on one home and buy on a Monday? Or do you have to close on a Monday and buy on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? Now, this is a really big deal, and this is where a lot of people get really hung up. It's because of the moving trucks. It's because of the walkthrough, and it's because of the closing time. So let's talk about this. Let's pretend you're closing on a Monday, but you decide, oh, we're not going to close until 4 o'clock on a Monday, and you have the movers coming on Monday to pack up your whole house, and then you want to have the house cleaned by the time the walkthrough and the closing happens at 4 o'clock. Now what happens? You have a truck full of furniture. Where? Is it sitting outside the house? Is it sitting outside the other house? Is it in storage? Where is that truck with all of your stuff on it? And most likely you are going to have to close then the next day, which means you're probably going to have to pay for some type of overnight storage. If you are thinking that you are going to sell and buy on the same day, let me tell you what has to happen is realistically, you have to have all of your stuff out of the house by the morning so that you can go in the afternoon or even 2 hours later and close on your next house. But where is your stuff? And when did the movers come? So let's say it was a Monday morning. Did they come on Sunday? So you have to have all of your stuff out of the house before you can close. You will not be able to close if your stuff is not out of the house. I know this sounds so basic and so simple, but I have had so many clients who have been like, oh yeah, closing's at 10. Great. We'll be done by 5 in the evening. It's like, You have to be done by 10 if your closing is at 10. This is really the hardest part of the whole thing is logistically, what are you going to do? There are not a lot of great answers for this other than paying to have the truck hold all of your stuff overnight, or potentially you've got maybe a week or 2 weeks in between where you put your stuff in storage and maybe you're in some type of temporary housing. Because what if you want to do some work in the house? What if you want to paint or put carpet in or something like that? You are going to be in a really tough situation because you're moving your stuff right in. Some people will say, well, why won't the buyers who are buying my house let me rent back? They'll let me stay afterwards. That is rare. That is really, really rare. It does happen, but only if they really want your house. So most likely you will have to vacate the moment your closing happens on your sale, and then you need to decide when you're going to move in with your truck and with your stuff. It can be very painful. I know your agent should be able to help you out with this one. So now what you're going to do is you're going to actually put your house on the market and you're going to find your home. It's got to be at the same time. So remember what I said about a home sale versus a home close contingency. They're kind of at the same time, but now that you've got everything all worked out in your mind, you know the logistics, you know when you want to close, you believe that there's enough inventory out there to choose from, put your house on the market and start looking. And hopefully you are going to go under contract on your home so that then you can write an offer, which is a home close contingency. That's ideal. I want you to write a home close contingency on that home that you buy. Now, the sellers for the home that you're going to purchase are going to want you to be through all of the inspections and all of the contingencies on your sale. That is is really going to be the best way to do it. Let's pretend you get an offer on the sale of your home and it's been just one day. And then you go out and you write an offer on another house and the agent says, great, are you through all the inspection items? And you're going to be like, well, no, the inspection hasn't happened yet. That agent will not take that offer. The reason why is so many deals fall through during the inspection. It is terrible. I want to make sure that you know that just because you have an offer doesn't mean another seller is going to take that. In addition, a seller that has only been on the market for a day is most likely not going to take your home sale or home close contingency. So you have to be willing to give a little bit. So my clients ended up finding a house that they wanted to go to. They loved it. It was right around the corner. We wrote an offer on it after we were through the contingency part of our home on our sale, which meant they had to move. They were moving, which made it a much stronger offer for our sellers. Now, they did have to actually pay more money, probably the market value, but they wanted that house and they wanted that seller to take a home close contingency, so they knew they had to do that. But we were locked, we were loaded, we were ready to go. So we coordinated their schedule for the closings. We knew exactly when everything was going to be, but we missed one single thing. I swear, you're not going to believe this. So now, if you are here through this whole video so far, I tell a lot of stories about real life clients that I have worked with in the past, and I give very, very practical information. So I want to make sure that you like and subscribe. And I also want to tell you, download our seller playbook. Our seller playbook is going to tell you exactly what to spend your money on. Low cost, high return items that you should spend your money on, and the high cost, low return items that you should not spend your money on. No way, no how. Make sure you download that playbook, but do not leave because I want to tell you the rest of the story. Okay, so now I said we were locked and loaded. We were ready to go. And remember how I told you earlier in this story that the lender is going to require a lot of documents, right? But what happened is that my client thought his credit score was 200 points higher than it was because he had not been paying his bills for a couple of months and his credit score started tanking. And so you know what happened? He couldn't get the loan. So we were in a contract on the sale of their home, in a contract to purchase a home, and we had a lender who could not give him the loan because his credit score was too low. Now, this was horrific, and this was true, and his wife didn't know. This was a very, very difficult situation to be in. This is why everything I am telling you in this video is so, so important. I want to get people from start to finish. And if you're saying, oh, we don't need to do that, or, oh, that doesn't matter, it does matter. It really does matter. So what ended up happening is he was able to get a credit company to help him fix his credit score because they had the money. His credit score had just dropped because he hadn't paid his bills. So he got somebody to help him fix his credit score. In addition, he had to go to a different lender at a higher interest rate. So now I said we were ready to close. We were ready to close, but we didn't know we were going to close until a week before closing. It was a very stressful time. He was very stressed. And it was something that I want all of you to take into consideration of, is make sure that you are planning. Start early. If you're thinking at some point you want to buy and sell at the same time, start planning early. So this story is really about how it's so hard to buy and sell at the same time, but it is possible. You need to make sure you have a partner with you. So I've got a ton of real life stories that I tell every week just about this. So if you're moving even now or 3 years from now or 5 years or 7 years, these are the stories that you need to know so that you can sell your home fast and for more money.